this is in the back here, Rover understands this, the faster we grow the economy, the more we reduce the deficit. If you get a 3% growth rate, you're going to reduce the debt over the next 10 years by somewhere between $2 and $3 trillion. So that would have a bigger impact than all of the spending cuts they're talking about. So economic growth is absolutely critical. Now, one of the main points we make in the study is that, and I learned a lot of my economics from Richard Vedder, economic growth is, if I get this wrong, economic growth is basically associated with two major things. One is the number of people who are working in the country, and the second is the productivity of the workers who are working. And immigration contributes to both of those things, productivity of workers and obviously adding to the labor force. The key statistic that Rich Vedder just cited, which really blew me away, by the way, when we started, the two of us have worked on this issue for 30 years. I hadn't looked at the data over the last 10 years, so I was not sure what we would find. And some of the statistics really did blow me away, that almost half of all net new workers in the U.S. economy over the last 10 or 15 years have been due to the foreign-born coming here and working here. So, and there's no question right now, if you look at the labor situation, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dennis, but that we do not have a shortage of jobs in this country. We have a shortage of workers. There's no question about it. There's 6.5 million job openings, and we're going to get a lot more as the economy continues to improve. There are 10,000 Americans who are retiring every single day. 10,000. I was born in 1960. That was the peak year for births. And ever since then, birth rates have come down. And so when you have 10,000 people retiring every day, I guarantee you there are not 10,000 Americans entering the workforce every day. And so now, another related point to this. The single biggest issue in the whole world that nobody's paying attention to, it's a catastrophic development, is the massive reduction in birth rates around the world. And we are old enough to remember the the population bomb and all that?
Yeah.
We're not facing a population bomb today, we're facing a population implosion, especially in every single developed country in the world. There may be one or two exceptions, but birth rates in Europe, birth rates in Japan, Korea, even China now has an inverted pyramid. They have a massive number of older people and fewer younger people to support them. There's one country in the world that has a demographic safety valve, and that's the United States. Because we're the one country in the world that everybody in the world wants to come to. So we can essentially import young people. One of the economic advantages of immigration that's often overlooked is the age profile of immigrants. Immigrants come to the United States when they are young. So the typical immigrant comes into the country between the ages of 18 and 40, right in the sweet spot. It means that we didn't have to pay their expenses, in terms of their rearing and their education. Other countries, immigration is a form of reverse foreign aid, right? They educate these people and then they come to the United States and we get them, and we get their work. So there's no way we can get to 3% growth, I'm going to say it again, unless we continue to allow immigrants in at a rising pace. Right now we let in about 1 million per year. There's no doubt in my mind we could easily double that and absorb that number very easily. I like Richard Vedder's idea of, this is now really being discussed in the White House, which is, they call them what do they call those? Just put them up for auction. And I'm not saying we get rid of all the other categories. This should be on top of the current immigration system. I think, by the way, some of these people pay $5 million for a U.S. passport. Let's see what the market. Let's see what the market. To have an auction system. And but there are other couple of programs that I want to mention because we feel strongly about them. One is there's a seasonal worker program. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know the exact number, about 150 to 200,000. You come in 4 or 5 months for the year. If you go out to the eastern shore here for the beaches, you're going to find that most of the people are working as waiters, waitresses, people in the kitchens, they throw the lifeguards, Eastern Europeans and so on. It's a great program. They don't take jobs from Americans. They come for 4 months. They make a good paycheck, and then they go back, and then they come back. So we want to make sure. And by the way, does anybody know which employer in this country, the most famous employer in the country that uses these seasonal worker visas? Donald J. Trump. Because Trump, right? He couldn't run Mar-a-Lago, and and his compound there in New Jersey without them. So we should do that. We have another program called the EP5 program that we're really promoting, and that's similar to what you were talking about. These are people who invest, I think the amount, I don't remember, I think it's $1 million. Is it $1 million? Yeah, $1 million, and you have to create a certain number of jobs, like 10 jobs, and you have to do that in either a inner city or a rural area that's been depressed. And that program has worked very well, so we should continue to expand that. And then, the H-1B visas, which are the brainiacs, as Larry Kudlow calls them, is an important one too. One last point, and then I'll turn it over to Dennis. For those of you who get our hotline in the morning, you may have seen this, but it's a pretty amazing statistic. Anybody who's watching the NBA playoffs, we're in the championship series right now, can relate to this. The United States, we have every great basketball, the greatest basketball players in the world play here in the NBA. I don't know if you're aware of this. The last 7 NBA MVPs have been foreigners. The last 7 from Cameroon, from I think what's his name, Gilbert, the guy on the Oklahoma City. It's a hard name to pronounce. He's from Canada, so it's amazing, and it's a little microcosm of how we really truly get the most talented people in the world, and that's like exactly what's happening in Silicon Valley. Many of the most talented people who are inventing all these incredible products in AI, robotics, and so on, they are immigrants. So they're not just forming the companies, but they're also working for them. So for all these reasons, we want more legal immigration, more visas for legal immigrants, secure the border, get rid of the bad people, get rid of the criminals, get rid of the drug runners, but let's open the doors wide. And so the person who knows more about this on the front line than anybody I know is Dennis Hickson, because Dallas or Houston, where's your home? Laredo. Okay, because I met up with you at Dallas, but Dennis brought me down to Laredo. If you've never been there, it's the most amazing experience to see what's really going on at the border and how dependent we are, not just on immigrants, but also the produce and all of the products that come in across that border. So tell people about your perspective on this whole issue.
Thank you, Steve. And